So let me know if you guys can see my presentation. If you can put a thumbs up and let me know if you can see it, then I'm ready to good to start. Can we start, Mary? We able to see?
Looks good. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Great. So today's topic is about mastering social media and what are the simple creation tips and tricks that we have done. And you know what, I can take a lot of credit for this. We have done a lot of research and we have done a lot of courses, and you know, we use those courses and we tweaked our messages to schools. But Mary and a few other people in our team are like the hearts and are really the real people who can who makes a difference in getting these contents out there. So you will also get to hear from Mary as well. And she has some great tips for what she has done that will help you guys as well. But one of the things that I am good at or that I have specialized in and that I've helped is really understand to know who your followers are. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is really understanding your followers. But if you don't understand your followers, some of the challenges that you might be coming up with is that, you know, you're creating posts and no one is really listening and it's getting lost in your noises. So this is some of the challenges I believe that I hear a lot when they call me up or they email me, you know, my clients or potential new clients, they come and say, hey, Jen, you know, I'm creating so much content, but there's so much out there. How do I create contents that will get, that they will see my content, they will engage? You might think that your current content is not engaging with your current audience are not engaging with your content. So you might be wondering, hey, you know what, how do I understand my current content and how do I get them to engage? And the other third one challenge that you might be saying that you're not sure they are interested in your content. You know, I'm putting up all this stuff. Is people even interested? Are they even liking what I'm seeing? And all of these questions exist mostly, and I'll tell you 90% of the time, because we don't know who our audience are. It's just like writing a letter to somebody and you know, you're just writing to a generic letter to anybody, versus if you write a letter specifically a target audience that you know who they are about, then you are able to clearly write that a letter and be able to help them through that. Right. So that's what we want to focus on before we get into the tips and tricks. We want to show you guys how we come and define what your target audience are. And you might say, hey, you know what, all the schools are the same, the audience will be the same. Not necessarily, because sometimes depending on which location you are, you can have differences. So that's what we're going to get into. So identify your target audience and tailor your content to their interests and needs. Right. So majority of you guys are here are part of this Christian school. Now, if I start talking about, you know, ROIs or businesses and charts and how do you increase sales, I probably just lose you right away. It's like, oh, that's not my interest here right now. Right. But if I talk to you about, you know what, I have parents today, I want them to be excited. I want them to be an advocate for Christian education. I want to be able to easily communicate why our school really is a little bit more or is a lot more that looks like a Sunday school on a Sunday, that we are actually molding characters. Then now you got a different type of audience, a different type of message. So that's where I'm getting at, understanding your audience. Okay. So I'm going to talk about 3 ways to identify your audience before you create your content. This is very crucial because you know what, we did exactly what you guys were doing maybe already right now, is that we just started pumping contents. We're like, hey, you know what, we're throwing contents out there, but they're not really catching on. It's not. And so why is that? Then we understood that, hey, you know what, we're making the wrong, we're presenting the wrong information to the wrong people. So we started really doing an intense study, and we do this almost for 2 months. We sit there and really research every school that we come into our hands and understand what their demographic is about, understand what their pain points about, what is their values and purposes. And this is the 3 things that, you know, I know it seems like, oh, that's pretty simple. It is simple, but it's also time consuming, because you know what, we want to do this intentionally, really understand and know what our audience are. So what audience are in for instance, what Florida, what their intentions and sometimes what their values and purpose, it could be a little different from what's happening in California versus what's happening in New York. Okay. So first one, we would talk about what is your demographic. So who are your advocates? Is it the father? Is it the dad? Is it male, female? Who are they? Most of the time, and again, I'm not generalizing, but what we have seen is that is the moms who are great advocate for Christian school, but there are also a good percentage of dads who says, you know what, I'm sold out for this is what my kids need. And then understanding what kind of background your target audience are coming from. What's their marital status? What is the occupations? The occupations is crucial because, in many things, we actually solve a lot of the school's problem when we understand what kind of people we have in our circle, what kind of work they're doing Monday to Friday, right? And what location are they? What area are they from? And what is unique about that location? And those are important informations to kind of write down and see as a visual and have that picture before you start writing your contents. Next thing is really understanding their pain points to lead to identifying their problems. And I'm going to take a pause here. Majority of the people will not read your contents, will not be interested unless you're offering some kind of solution for their problem. What other problems are they going through? And you need to really clearly understand if their problems, if your content is creating the problem. So for instance, moms are really having a hard time encouraging their children to get excited about doing homework, or getting them to do their homework. Maybe excited is second step, but just simply sit down and do your homework. And what can you do to provide support in that level when you're creating contents? So those are some of the things that is easy when you start identifying the problems. It helps to be able to create contents that are solving problems. You should understand, when you're understanding their pain points, understand what keeps them up late, what's waking them up early in the morning. What are they concerned about? What's in their mind about their children that we can put contents out there that will help them solve that problem. So one way of doing that, and you might say, hey, you know what, I don't know what that is, Jen, that I'm glad that you want me to help understand and solve their problem, but I don't know what their problem is. Good question. So this is one way to find that out, is to conduct a research. There's so much research, I'm sure, in your area that has been done about, in generally, what our parents are going through and what are the challenges that are happening. You can access that, so you don't need to recreate the wheel again. So you can actually go out there and find that. And we have found a lot of information even doing that kind of research. And then doing a focus group, just getting a couple of parents together. I know we participate in a few of that in our Christian schools, and we run some focus group as well, is to get parents together and say, hey, you know what helps, how can we partner with the home to enhance the Christian education? And you will be able to identify some of the challenges that parents are going through. Doing surveys, asking them, how was the fundraising that we just did? How was the exam experience for your child? So to understand really what the parents' hearts and minds are going through, you can do surveys. Sometimes just feedbacks, year-end feedback, as a school, how did we do? And I know sometimes schools are hesitant to ask parents for feedback because they will just take opportunity to say anything that they want. But it's better to know where your parents are at, so that, again, you'll understand their mindset when you're creating these contents. Okay. The third one that I want to talk about quickly is identifying the values and purpose of your audience. So what is their purpose, and why are they, what drives them in their life, and what's important to them? So what does their day look like? Look at their morning duty. Look at how does meal preparation, what does the meal preparation looks like? What does pick up and drop off of schools look like? What kind of music are they playing when they drop the kids off? And what are podcasts that they're interested in? What are their evening routines look like? These identifies, really, you're able to understand a picture of what does your target audience look like. And the other things that you can also be easily able to identify, what are their hopes and dreams? Do they want to have what their retirement home looks like? Or what do they want for their children? What do they hope for their children's are? And you can identify from there, come in, and where you come in. And this is a sample, samples persona, and we just made up this school called Joy Christian School. So we're not taking from any Pacific Christian schools, but we just created this persona so that you can have an idea, how does this come out? So that when you have this picture in front of you, when you're creating content, it really helps to create good contents that are people who are interested, and you will start to able to see that, hey, you know what, this is talking to my interest. This is talking to my pain point. This is talking to what I value in life. So we actually have a persona template like this that you can download, and we will give you the link shortly in the chat. So look out for that. And then so you'll be able to download that and take that and use for your school as well. So now you're ready to create content to increase your engagement. So I'm going to take it over, give it over to Mary, and she will start talking to you about, okay, now that you know who you're talking to, how do I create content that engages? Okay. Over to you, Mary.
All right, great. All right, so yeah, this is now kind of the nuts and bolts of how we're going to create those different posts. So just to start with a fact, the average person's attention span is now about 8 seconds. So not a lot of time that you have to convey everything you want to convey to them about your school, you know, the benefits, why parents should be, you know, interested in your school. You know, you just don't have that much time to convey everything that you want. So that's the challenge. And we're going to see how we can use that 8 seconds well to grab their attention and convey at least bits in pieces, but to do it to, you know, to get them to stop. Okay, so go to the next slide. We're going to start first about talking about the headlines and crafting compelling headlines, because headlines are important. People will be scrolling through, and we want them to make sure that they're going to stop when they see, you know, your post. There's something about it that makes them stop. And part of that can be the visual. We'll talk about that later, but part of it also is the headlines. So let's look at how we can craft compelling headlines. First of all, yeah, we'll talk about the consequence of not having a good headline. You just might not get the results that you're hoping for. It can create confusion, you know, for the person reading it. They just don't understand. Frustration, you know, it's maybe driving readers away, and all that hard work you put into making that post is just not getting the results that you want. And also the last one, talking about you had that target audience you're trying to reach, you might not get that message in front of them, just getting it to the right audience. So these are some things, just some little different things that your headlines should have to help them stop as they're scrolling through. Use that to 8 seconds wisely. So point number one is just focusing on benefits. And there's lots of benefits. You could probably talk for a long time about the benefits of your schools, but you want to make it very easy to scan, so the reader can just scan through. So bullet points are great. Just short statements, highlighting words. So for this first post, this school was talking about how they focus on character development. So quick and easily, you can see that character matters at their school, and that they, you know, the benefits of character development, it develops godly traits, it enhances well-being, it contributes to school success. There's a lot more they could say, but that's just kind of quickly highlighting the benefits, and you can easily scan it. The one on the right, there's a lot of words there, and it's very hard to understand what is the benefit, and it's just not easy to quickly read. So, you know, it's having a raffle. They could easily have just put, you know, support the school, you know, win a prize, whatever. And then all that information about the raffle can go in the caption underneath. But on the post itself, you want to just have it quick, scannable information.
And we did this because I know the school might be here, and we hope you don't mind this, because we wanted to kind of give something that tangibly you can take away and be able to quickly change things around faster, is because we wanted to do what you guys are already doing. So we did go in, and some of you guys who have registered, we went and looked through your social media and said, hey, how can we help you guys improve, instead of you guys coming back and say, hey, Jen, because one of the things that we get is, Jen, I did this, can you show us if this works, right? So that's one of the reasons why I use that. So hope you don't mind us using your social media posts. It's awesome. I think you guys are doing a great job. We just wanted to kind of show you, maybe tweak it a little bit to this direction. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Okay, nope, we can go to the next one. Okay, it's another great place to show your credibility. So statistics about maybe a graduating class or a sports team, maybe like a testimonial of a parent or an alumni. So in the caption, you can be kind of creative and just saying, SAT scores. Here, there's setting seniors up for success. You have a visual of them, their senior class. They're getting them ready for university to be successful. And visually, you can easily see if they had to just put numbers, it wouldn't have been easy to see. But now we can see how well their school is doing compared to the state and their national level. So visually, it helps too. And another place to address is their pain points, so that these are what you would be identifying. So this would be very, as we talked about, this would vary for the school, but for some private schools, it's finances. Can I afford to send my child? So this school focused on, they wanted to say that, they accept financial aid. Their state offers money towards a private school, and it can contribute to making Christian schools much more affordable. So that headline kind of addresses that pain point. And then another headline, another pain point might be trying to get your kids into the Bible and enjoying it and memorizing word. So this headline is hiding God's word in their hearts. And it was just a video of kids. I don't know if it works. Oh, there's no sound though. They were saying a scripture verse that they had memorized. So videos are great to do that. I know for myself, I like things that I can help to remember, and understand. So if you can think of these 4 U's: useful, unique, urgent, or ultra specific. They don't have to be all used in one post. Some posts might be more useful. So for example, if giving tips to get ready for high school or prepare a child for kindergarten. Your headline could be unique, just rather than like the last one, instead of just saying SAT scores, they had a bit of a unique headline. It might be something that's urgent, especially if you have a deadline. Maybe, if there's a cutoff for a discount on tuition before a certain date, or you have an open house coming up. And the last U is ultra specific. Don't make it confusing. Try to be as specific as possible in that headline. Okay, numbers are a great way to highlight different things. If you have, if you want to offer, maybe some statistics, or if you have a certain number of sports teams or extracurricular clubs. And I put this up here because it's just important. If you look at the 2 posts, you probably notice that the number 10 catches your eye better than the word 10. So if you are putting a number in a headline, use the numerical, because it just will stop the eye more than the word. So that's just something to remember if you use a number in your post. Another great thing to do to kind of create engagement is to ask a question. This could be a question if it addresses a pain point, like perhaps you're going to ask like how do I prepare my child for kindergarten, or is your child getting lost in the mix, something like that. But this school just had a Saturday post that was fun to try to create great engagement. And they just asked the question, what was the first movie you ever saw in a theater on the big screen? And so then people can comment underneath, and that helps to create engagement with your community. Okay, so that's with the headlines. Now we're going to look at the image itself, the visuals, and posts with visuals do really well. They create great engagement. So let's look how we can create visuals that are engaging and do well. So think about the goal when you're going to create a post. Think about what the goal is, and just have one goal in mind for each image. So your goal might be to point them towards an open house that's coming up. Your goal might be to highlight a benefit of your school. Your goal might be to talk about a sports team that's been doing well. So just create one goal in mind, not too many goals, just one for each post. and that will help to kind of create your content. It's good to vary your visuals, so you can use just static posts. Those are just single standalone posts, videos, which are great. Videos of students, maybe participating in a science lab, administration talking about a benefit of the school, an alumni talking about their experience. Those are great videos. And then also the other one is a carousel, and that's just when you have a static post, more than one, and so they swipe to the side. And this post here is about a kindergarten class, and they just said, "Hey, JK class, what do you do when you get a new rug in your classroom?" And so then they swipe and they say, "Build some ramps and learn about simple machines and turn it into a racetrack for your cars and tracks." So that was just something simple that their class had done, but it was in a carousel post that the parents enjoy seeing what's happening in the classroom. All right, so this is when you're choosing a photo, and you can use a stock photo, although if you can use your own photos of your classroom, it's much better. You just want to make sure they're good quality photos. So you can see the top photo is a bit blurry and it's hard to see, whereas the bottom is very clean and crisp. Also, the picture below just kind of conveys emotion, right? You see an excited teacher, you see a child engaged with a book. It just already gives you a certain kind of grasp of life at school, what life is like at that school. There's also just, if you have someone that's not at all with graphic design and creating posts, there's excellent tools like Canva or Stencil, which have ready to use templates that you can just then put in your own photo, put in your own text on top of that template, change the colors for your school. And both those programs, they have free, you don't have to pay. You can pay if you want to have a bit more options, but they're just free tools that you very quickly, you can create a post with even no graphic design experience at all. So they're great to use. And then after you have your visual, you can add your text. Remember, not too many words. Because people are just going to scan. So this, I do think they just took a poster that they just put on social media, but a lot of that information could have been probably put underneath in the caption, and they could have just highlighted, their fall festival with kind of a day of fun, food, smash, whatever, the pie throwing contest, whatever. So just highlight the fun stuff and then put all the wordy stuff underneath so that you're not having too much on the post itself. When you do put a photo in, just make sure that you're not cutting off any heads and little Billy's mom's not going to be happy if half of Billy is missing. So it's, make sure your photos are no one's cut off. Things are aligned. Spacing is good. So just visually, it looks better. For when you do put text on it, and we did say, a little bit of text, but sometimes you will have a little bit of more text. Perhaps you're putting a testimony from a parent or something, or you're using a quote about Christian education or something, and you do have to have a little bit more text. If you put black text on a light background, or a dark text on a lighter background, that's better suited for paragraph. And you can probably see, just looking at these two paragraphs, that the white on the black is just harder on the eyes. And just for, to be able to include everybody, about 50% of people do have impaired eyesight. And for them, the black background there with the white words is just much more difficult to read. So if you just remember, if you do a paragraph, make sure it's dark text on a lighter background. For headlines, though, and labels or titles to stand out, then you can use the white text in the dark background. And that's just a way to, you can easily see the word open house or camp needs you. So those are white on dark, and they're good for headlines and captions in just single, not too many words. And then just remember to kind of brand your image. So putting on your school name or your school website, or, you know, just a logo if you have a mascot or something like that. So then if anyone shares your content, they, you know, they'll know that you created it and where it comes from. So this was a post that they were just advertising their school. It was kind of their time when enrollment was coming up, and they wanted to highlight some benefits of the school. So just some extra tips to remember. Charts and graphs are a great way visually to see information. And that's a great way to show things that, you know, may be hard to understand or just will be skimmed over if they're just words. But by showing a visual of that numbers in a more like a pie graph or a chart, that can help to stand out. And then lastly, just watch your sizing, because some different platforms have different sizes, and it might look good on one, but then on another, you're going to get it cut off. So just watch, you know, if you just look up image sizes, they'll guide you to the right size. And if you do use one of those programs like Canva or Stencil, they have the sizes already built in, so you can size it there easily.
Okay, so I will talk about repurposing your content. So it's very important to look at your content and then say, hey, you know what? Some contents like open houses and you know, introducing new teachers, you can actually repurpose it because, you know, sometimes when you're looking and you're ready to write content, you're like, oh my goodness, I am so overwhelmed. There's so much stuff going on. I now have to think of new ideas for creating contents, and we know that challenges, right? You already, or you might feel like I'm pumping out so much content, but not everyone has seen it, or your content looks outdated, or you're just simply out of ideas. I'm like, okay, what else can we put in the social media now? No, this week I have to prepare social media content. So we have some great ideas. We love looking at what we have done in the past and really, you know, modifying it, changing it, and even making it even better. So we have 5 tips and tricks how to repurpose your current contents and then grow the engagement with that. One of the first things I would suggest is having a calendar, content calendar. And please, 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 I tell my team this, and I work with our team on this as well as on a regular basis. We are advocate of this. We do this on a regular basis. We plan our content well in advance. And you might be like, oh, Jen, we don't have time for this. And I'm telling you, investing that kind of time saves you a lot of headache and stress when you do that. When you have a content calendar, you're able to see, okay, you know what's coming up. Even if you can't do it months in advance, do 1 month in advance, or at least do 2 weeks in advance. So it's not stressful. And you're like, oh, you know what, tomorrow I need to put content up. Okay, let me just quickly just put this through, right? And that's one of the challenges when you will see that, you know, you're not really speaking the right languages and to the right audience. So look at your content calendar, even if you have been in the social media world in the last 6 months or even the last year, go back to your contents and see, hey, you know what content worked, and see which ones you can repurpose. So your regular school activities, I am sure you can repurpose those contents. But again, there's a few things you need to do when you're repurposing those contents. So I will talk about that as well. So that's the first tip. Second tip is update and refresh the old content. So you're introducing a new teacher, right? You can, the description and on all of that, you can use the same thing, but then you might want to change the pictures. Obviously, you have to change the pictures. Or open house. Don't use kids who have already graduated from the school. Use current students and talk about what are some of the new updated things that are happening at the school. But then, you know what, the structure and the visual looks similar. The other thing is that you can update just the information or the stats or visuals. Look, if you're just putting out on stats, you know how did our reading level change from last year to this year? You're just updating the stats, but the picture and the structure of that can look the same. Okay. That's why, going back to my first tip, look at your calendar, your calendar, and see what you can repurpose, and then this activity will come following that. Second one is repurpose the content for different platforms. We have seen a lot of advantage on this and growth on this. Sometimes we take a static post and do as a reel in Instagram, and we say, wow, the reels just went crazy. It just went through wild, and lots of people started engaging. Sometimes we take Instagram content and create a video on LinkedIn, or we create a different type of carousel on LinkedIn, but it's the same information, but we just distribute it out into a carousel. And that helps, so that, you know what, you don't have to think about a net new ideas, but you're just talking about the new idea in a different form. And then now you can take a look at it and say, hey, you know what, carousel works better for this type of content in this platform. So you can change the content, use the same content and change the design based on your audience. Okay. The fourth tip is create evergreen content. So these are amazing contents that will never kind of really go old, right? Things like, Mary was showing tips on how to prepare your children for kindergarten. You're as a parent, you've been holding on to your child for 3 years, and then now you have to walk your child to kindergarten, and there might be a separation anxiety. What are the tips that you as a school who have seen this can kind of show? What are the tips and tools for the parents to overcome that? And they will start looking at that and engaging on that. That video that Mary was showing about 5 tips for kindergarten, preparing for kindergarten, that overnight, I think it went to almost 5,000 people looking at that video, because that can kind of actually speak to many people. So this type of content can be repurposed and reused anytime. So these tools, guides and tutorials can use anytime. The fifth type of ones that I want to talk about today is change the delivery technique on the content. So take the contents from like a blog post. Blog posts are usually anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 words, right? You can take that and put it into your calendar, and you already have now 2 months worth of content. And then all you have to do is just convert them into a static post, or make it a video. So this is 5 ways you can repurpose the content. Again, every time you have to think of new ideas, it takes a lot more. And from a stats perspective, we've seen that it takes a lot more calories, it takes a lot more energy, and then it just takes more to bring into delivery. It takes a little bit more. Here, at least, if you have some of these ideas that are working and that our parents like, you can repurpose them, so you don't have to start from fresh again. All right, I hope these tips and tricks that we have used had helped you guys. And we want to still give you guys something as a special gift just for coming out today. If you look at the chat, Mary will put a link on the chat for you guys. You can click on that chat and link on that chat, and then be able to download 2 PDFs. Well, we have one PDF is to show you, give you just a gift from us to you guys, because we want to see you guys impacting more children, is having 1 month full of content that that you can repurpose, you can use, and you can start it. It's a kickstart for you guys to start really saying, hey, you know what, I can do this. The second one is a persona. You can download a persona template and be able to help it will help you, kind of guide you through writing your audience, who your audience looks like and who you're speaking to. If you need any questions on us, please check us out at, you can go at digitalconsultants.ca or Christian School Marketing. We're there. You can email us. We're there as well. And we'll be able to, answer any questions. We are going to have a question and answer period now. So I am going to stop recording. So in case you don't want this to be going